Hello, how are you all? This is Claire and I'm here to do an update for both June and July because it's been a couple of months since I last did my update. If you have been watching my previous videos, updates, you know that I was in the process of changing jobs, and I'm pleased to say that I have now changed jobs. I've left my old one and I've started in my new one. In fact, tomorrow will be the start of the 4th week for me in my new job, and I'm very happy to say that so far it looks like I've done absolutely the right thing in changing jobs, being made to feel very welcome in my new team, and there's lots of exciting stuff going on that hopefully I'm going to be able to be a part of. So although I'm not going to lie and say it was the easiest thing to do. I mean, I worked in my previous post, well, not in that particular job, but within that department for 19.5 years. So it was a pretty big change to kind of walk away from it all. But as I said, I think it was definitely the right thing to do. No, I don't even think it was definitely the right thing to do. I didn't do an update at the end of June because that was when I was kind of winding down. I wasn't really winding down. It was just trying to get everything finished so that I was ready to leave my job and tidying out the office, and there was just lots of things to sort out. And plus I had a week away at the very end of June and went up to spend a week in Yorkshire, which was lovely. Had some very nice weather for the first few days especially, but went out with made full use of our English Heritage membership. Visited lots of really interesting places. Honestly, I'd really recommend it for a short break up there. It was beautiful. So that kind of put, that's why I wasn't around the end of June, and actually then it was Wimbledon. So when I got back, even though I had a couple of extra days at home, I was watching tennis most of the days. In terms of the amount of stitching I've done, not a huge amount. I've got a few things, as you can see in front of me, to show you. So I have got some finishes. Haven't got any FFOs, and I was hoping to have a couple of those by the time that I did this video, but for one reason or other I haven't quite got there. But let's jump straight into this, shall we? So the first one I've got in front of me is my Celtic Santa that I was working on. I think this was almost completed last time you saw it, but it was definitely minus the beard, and I think there was a missing stitch. I hadn't fully crossed one of the stitches that I had to go back and do, maybe the lacing on the boots, but that's all done now, so you can see that he's done. And this one is the Welsh Santa, and I did this one for my mum, and I will use this as a tag either on her birthday, because her birthday's in November, so that she can hang it for Christmas, or I might actually use this one as a Christmas tag to put on her Christmas present. So I've got this one, which is the Welsh Santa, and I've also got in my stash the Irish Santa to do for my dad. So I might aim to do that. Shall I? I think I will be doing that this year, so that I can kind of give them together. The only thing that stopped me from fully completing this one was I've cut it out, as you can see, and I have the felt, but I watched Christine. Oh, what's your channel name called? Complete blank on your channel name. I'm so sorry. It's not going to come to me, is it? It might come to me later. She did a really great tutorial about how she finishes her Mill Hill kits. And what I hadn't thought about when I went to actually put this together was I haven't sorted out a hanger for it. So I've just got my box of, I'll show you. I just dug it out of the cupboard this morning. I've got this box. Oh gosh, it's going everywhere. Of stuff. I don't know if you can see it. I'll have to lift you up. Excuse me. Which has got all my ribbons and trimmings and all sorts in it. So I'm going to have a good look through that to see if there's anything. It's falling out. See if there's anything in there that's going to be suitable for making a hanging with. So that's my job for this afternoon. I did take up her suggestion of buying some little cheap paintbrushes to paint the glue on the back to make sure I got good tactics, good adhesion. I'm sorry. I think it's been really quite warm and muggy in the UK. So at night it's kind of still kind of in double digits, like 15, 16 degrees. And I think with the kind of, you know, I'm going to say stress, it hasn't been that particularly stressful, but it, you know, changing jobs, I haven't been sleeping particularly well, and I was knackered when this weekend rolled round. It's Sunday today, and last night this morning I woke up at my usual time, kind of around 6:30. So I normally get up at 5:30 in the morning, and I was just like, oh, I really feel like I need to sleep more and to have a lie in. And very unusual for me, I actually slept until 10:30 this morning. So I went back to sleep for another 4 hours. And I think it's just left me feeling a bit groggy because I'm just not used to that amount of sleep. So I do apologise if I'm falling over my words, forgetting names, etc., etc. It's probably going to be one of those updates. So I apologise for that. But, you know, I don't edit my videos. So you get what it is. So moving on, that was my Celtic Santa. The next one I've got to show you as a finish is a cross stitch. I can't remember if I started this as part of Stitch Mania last year or if it's just something that I had started. But whichever way, I'd really done very little. So I think I'd just done kind of 5 of the coloured squares somewhere around the middle here. But I was on a bit of a drive to. It's not that I want to get lots of things finished, but I want to get lots of things finished, but mainly so that I can get more things started. So this is Dolly Mamers, which I think is and it's a Janelin. Yeah, it's down the bottom there. So I've had this in my stash for probably, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years, but I dug it back out. And I started stitching on it, and it's a really easy stitch because it's done on 14 count Ada. It came with all the threads sorted onto a card, ready to go. And as you can see, I kind of got into a flow with it, and I was at the point where I was going to stop after about a week of stitching on it and start something new. But because I could kind of see that I could get it done, I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to carry on working with it. So I did. And this is the result. So I have a finish on this one as well. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to finish this one though. It's quite, well, it's not big. I mean, you can see it's not massive. But I'm thinking it's probably a bit too big to be a flat fold. So I'm thinking it might have to be a hanger. But even then it's quite big. I don't think I really want to make it into a pillow or anything. So I'm not sure about that one, so that one might just have to sit in the stash. But I actually really love her. She's got great expression on these are my favourite things of the whole pattern. These little cute guys down at the bottom here, these patchwork squares, they're so adorable. But there was a lot. This one really challenged me because I'm not one for French knots, but she has a lot of French knots kind of all up in for the heads of the pins and for her eyes and for her lips. So I actually can say quite confidently now that I can do French knots on Ada. So that's another one finished. Before I show you the next one I've got underneath, I shall show you where it comes from. So this next pattern I'm going to show you is from Helen Phillips. Again, if you've watched my video for any length of time, you'll have seen this one before. So this is the pattern I'm going to have to pick it up and show you. I don't show the pattern. This is, I might have to lift you up to show you the full thing. It's called the Potting Shed, and that's the finished picture there. And if I move the book aside, you will see a finished example of it stitched. So I have finished all of the stitching on the Potting Shed, and I'm really pleased with how it's come out. At one point I was doing some stitching on this, and I got a bit frustrated because I'd made a few mistakes with the colours and just some silly things like I'd stitched in this bit here, but actually I had a button for it, so I had to take all of that stitching out. So I had a few frustrations with this, and at one point I thought, oh, you know, it's a bit dull, isn't it? But actually now I've stitched it all up, I really, really love it, and I'm really pleased with how it's come out. I'm just going to lift you up so you can get the full picture of it in the Potting Shed. So there's just one thing that's stopping this from becoming an FFO. So, well, there were two things, but I've managed to sort one. So this here, this should have been a French knot in the centre of the wheelbarrow, but this linen is really quite loosey-goosey kind of tension to it. So I really struggled to get the knot to actually hold. It kept slipping through to the back because the threads in the linen would move. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll just give up. I'll admit defeat on that one, and I'll see if I can find a button. But it's really, really tiny space to fill, and any of the buttons I had in my kind of button box were just going to be too huge. And then I just had a brainwave the other day and had a look through my beads, and I actually found, if I can get it to focus, these ones. Maybe if I put my hand behind it. 18081, and one of these was absolutely perfect, so I've just stitched that on down there, as you can see. I have got the other embellishments just underneath. If I could pull those out. There's a watering can to show you, and this is the reason why it's not completely finished. So the watering can charm goes there. I think it's that terracotta pot goes there, and I'm missing my button. There it is. The Mill Hill button beehive goes just down there. So that's what it will look like when it's done. But right at the top, again, if I lift you up here, you can see there's a trowel hanging there, and there should be a trowel charm to hang next to it. I can't find that charm anywhere to save my life. And not that I've lost it. I mean, I know that's what you're all thinking, because I have probably have a bit of a reputation for misplacing threads and needle everything. If I can lose it, I will lose it. But it's just I haven't been able to find it anywhere to buy. And it was, I think it's Debbie Cripps who is the person who was used by Helen Phillips for all the original charms. So that this and the terracotta pots, they all came from Debbie Cripps. And I emailed and said, have you got a trowel? It's for this pattern, and she hasn't got any in stock at the moment, and that was quite a while ago. And I just checked back when I finished this, and they're still not in stock. So I was a bit flummoxed as to what to do about that. But I have been doing some search on lots of different sites all over the world, kind of thing, just for this trowel, which is a tiny, tiny little piece. But I found another company just today, in actual fact. It doesn't have a fork, a gardening fork, but it does have a gardening rake. But it looks like it should be the right size, and the place where it sits in this pattern, if I show you, is it fills this gap just here. So I've ordered it, and in fact I've ordered it as part of a gardening charm set, hoping that will fit. And if it doesn't, it might just mean that I end up that it also has another trowel in it, so it might end up that I just have another trowel to sit there. So hopefully that will be resolved fairly soon, and then this can make its way to being an FFO. As I said, I was hoping to get that done, so I did actually pull out. This is sitting on a piece of white mount card, so this is what I was going to use to mount this piece onto, but it's going to have to wait a bit longer. So having thought I'd have a few FFOs to show you on this video, but hopefully next time I do an update I might have more to show you. So, not been as organised with all my other things, but I'm going to just unfold my next whip for you. Get it to the right space. So another one I've worked on is my Snowman. So this is part of the 6 fat Snowman patterns by Lizzie Kate. You can hear me rattling because I'm just pulling out the pattern. So that's the pattern that you've got there. So I've finished this little box out. Almost, actually, I haven't quite finished it out because there is some French knots needed for the owl's eyes. That owl is really cute, so is this bunny really cute. But there are buttons with each of these, so I think it's inside. Yeah. Just show you. It's got this little white daisy button, which is for the bunny's tail. But I'll what I'll do, because I'm putting this in a Q-snap, I'll do all of the kind of embellishments, etc. at the end so that they don't get damaged. So yeah, I'm quite pleased that that one's coming along. So that's kind of the halfway point for this one. Sorry about all the rattling. I'm just going to put some stuff away as I go, because it creates such a mess otherwise. So yeah. So, and I've just started kind of doing a bit of as a free download on the Lizzie Kate website. It shows you how to order all of these, and it's got a little bit of extra pattern for there. I did see somebody had worked out a way to do all the 6 snowmen and the snow ladies together, or the snow bells as they're called. And this fabric is quite big. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it all in. But yeah, well, you can see there's space all here at the bottom, and there's space all kind of down this side. So I am wondering if at some point I might actually see if I can figure out a way to get all the snow bells onto this bit of fabric as well. I don't actually have them, so I haven't purchased them, but that might be something that I look to do. What else have I done? Okay, so one thing that I was hoping to get finished as well, and this made an appearance when I did a review of all of the works in progresses I had, was this pattern by Sue Hawkins, and it's called Beach Hut Scissor Keep. Now, the reason I'd got stuck on this one previously was the French knots. So I actually took this on holiday with me because I thought, you know, I'll be relaxed, I'll have plenty of time. What I need to do is just challenge myself to sit down and work out how to do French knots on this material, because I can do French knots on embroidery linen. I just really seem to struggle to get them to hold on to hold their shape on Ada or linen, and also, well, yeah, plastic canvas. But this is not finished. Hopefully you'll be able to see, if I hold this here, I've got some French knots. So I've finished all of the flower pots all the way around the house. Some of the French knots are better than others. Please ignore that buzzer, that's just my oven timer going off telling me that my dinner's ready. So I managed to fill in all the French knots to make this into a flower, to make the flowers. And then it was just a question of trying to put it together. And that's where I've kind of come a bit unstuck, because it showed a long... Let me have a look at what it's called. Sorry, I'm just reading the instructions to remind myself what stitch you're told to use. Because I could not do it. It didn't make sense to me. A long-legged cross stitch. So I know what a long-legged cross stitch is before, and I've done it, but it left quite a lot of the white canvas showing in between, and you don't see the white canvas on the stitching that she's done. So I ended up with this kind of stitch that it looks almost like a plait. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe if I bring it in a bit closer you can see. It looks a bit like I've plaited it. And I'm not sure how I feel about that, because then I've kind of done the sides in between all of those bits. It's just a bit bulky. And then I got to this bit trying to put it together, and it was impossible. I mean, I'm sure it is possible, but I think that kind of really tested my patience. So I've got it a bit further than it has been for the last couple of years, but I think this is going to take a bit of, I need to be in the right mood to sit down and think, right, how am I going to figure that out to do? And it wasn't on that day that I had it. So, you know, there's still a bit more progress. Progress is progress, right? Oh, I did have a go at making the little hanger as well, but it's come a little bit untwisted in the time. So, you know, I'm getting there. It's all new. What else? Let me give you something to look at. I'm going to get you to look at this, and I'm just going to go and switch the oven off before my dinner burns. Excuse me a quick sec. Sorry about that, but you don't want me to have burnt dinner, do you? I could have pressed pause, I could have pressed stop, but honestly can't be bothered. Okay, so I'm back. I decided I'd edit out that last little bit because you probably heard the oven timer go off while I just went to go and rescue my dinner so that it didn't burn. But I'm back now, and I'm just going to kind of power through and finish this video before I stop for my lunch, because it was a bit of having one of those days where I just thought I really want to do an update, but actually the reality of filming an update, because I'm sure Jessie Marie's done a great tag, the behind the scenes tag, and hopefully you're seeing that it does take a bit of time for those of you who don't do updates. It does take a bit of time to get organised and to kind of pull everything together, and it's not that I resent it, it's just that sometimes I guess you've kind of got to have enough time in which to be able to do that, and the right kind of motivation as well. Anyway, I digress slightly. This next one is a Michael Powell pattern that I've had again for a while. I rediscovered it when I was doing Adele's tag for how many whips I had. This is called Mini Christmas Window 1, which suggests that there's a few more Christmas windows in this series. And last time you saw this, I had done the majority of it. I just had this kind of bottom bit to finish off here and all of the back stitching. So I have managed to progress this to the point where all of the cross stitching is now done. And as you can see, I've made a start on the back stitching. So there's lots of back stitching in this pattern. It's very heavily back stitched, which will really make the pattern pop, because you can see all of these here are Christmas lights, but they don't really look like Christmas lights at the moment, just random blobs, because they've not got the back stitching in. And I just started back stitching along here at the bottom, and then I actually read the instructions. And the instructions are to to do the back stitch in, I think it's 2 threads. So then I was a bit like, oh, I'm gonna have to. That means I'm gonna have to unpick all of this. So I just kind of then moved up to here and started doing it in 2. But I don't know if I actually like it in 2, because the threads, certainly there I can see on the star. If I bring it a bit closer, you can see that the thread is separating. I really struggled to keep the 2 threads together so that it looked like a neat line. But if I look back at the pattern, I can see that it is quite bold, the back stitching on this, isn't it? So I don't know whether to, I kind of was then a bit undecided about whether to do 1 or 2 strands for my back stitching, and I think I probably will be 2-stranded, but what I might do is, just rather than unpick this, I might just actually stitch over it with a 2nd strand and see if that works in keeping it a little bit more together rather than the fibres separating. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so there's some more stitching done on that one. So I've worked on a fair few different patterns this time round. Let's just pop that away. I also pulled out another one that I rediscovered when I was doing a review of all my whips, and this is an anchor pattern, and it is called the Red Flower series set of 3. But I do know, I mean, I got this as a Christmas present from my mum 5 or 6 years ago. It's quite a while ago, but I know that this series has since been printed in one of the UK cross-stitch magazines, because I was leafing through it one day and I was like, oh, that's that pattern that I bought, that was my mum bought for me, that wasn't particularly cheap, and now you can get it in a magazine. But not that I'm bitter in any way. So previously I had done the stitching for the poppies, but not the back stitching. That's a bit of a theme for me, as you'll have probably noticed by now. So I had that already done, and I'd made a start on the tulips. Yes, tulips. But I'd stitched kind of the bottom of the top tulip, and I have actually now also finished the cross stitching on that one. So I did that in the month of, I think that was a June stitch that I did that on. And again, it was one of those things, I picked it up, and I kind of remembered doing, when I was doing the poppy, that it was like to follow the pattern, all the changes in the shading, etc. I found it quite difficult to follow. I don't know why, because I picked it up this time and I just seemed to flow through it. It just stitched up really, really quickly. So I now have just one of these left to do, which is the, I'm going to have to think how to pronounce this flower. Just look it up. A dahlia. I think it's a dahlia is how you pronounce it. And then that one will be finished as well. So, and obviously the back stitching on it as well. So hopefully I might think about doing that. But I seem to have lots of things that just need back stitching on at the moment, and I don't mind. I've got to be in the mood for back stitching. It's not that I hate it. It's not that I, don't like doing it. It's just that I've got to be in a certain frame of mind, because actually my preference would be to cross stitch over back stitch. So if there's something that I can do that's got cross stitch in it, that's what I will pick up. What else have I worked on? So, sorry, you're staring at a blank piece of white card at the moment. I know that's not particularly exciting, but hey ho. The next one I did a bit of work on was my Bothy threads beside the seaside. I don't know if you can hear it, but that's the wind outside. It's really picked up. Really quite breezy this afternoon. In fact, the sun's gone in as well, so still a nice day, but very breezy. It's very quiet. School holidays here, and everybody seems to have gone off somewhere except for me. It's very quiet out there. Anyway, the last time you saw this, I was working on this bottom corner, and I have made some progress, as you can see. So I've started to fill in this bottom segment of flowers here. I got a bit bored of filling all in this one colour of blue, so there's all that seed to kind of be stitching at some point. So I came down here and started working on this area here, kind of the foreground. And yeah, still really enjoying this. I love how bright and colourful and cheerful this one is. So I do look forward to having this one done. I did run into a bit of a problem with this one because I put this on my key snap frame, or I don't have key snaps actually, I have the UK brand, the R&R frames. And when I took it off, I noticed, and you can see it actually up in the green hill there, it broke, it snagged a stitch. So, and that's where it was actually under the roller clamp. Now I didn't, and you can see also here that was where the roller clamp was on this side, holding it in place. So I didn't put anything between my R&R frame and the material. And I think, I'm hoping that when, I'm going to have to repair that stitch, but I'm hoping that when I wash this project at the end, because this is, I think it's Madeira thread that Bothy threads use. It's not DMC, I know that. So I will be able to wash it. I'm hoping that that will kind of puff those stitches up a little bit at the end. But yeah, cautionary tale there. And I have now started using, I'll just show you on my current project, I have now started using kind of a bit of felt to protect the stitches underneath, because I don't really want that happening to all of my patterns. That was a bit disappointing, but yes. So quite pleased with the progress on this, and I'm sure, again, if you know me, if you've watched my videos, you know that I'm not really one for rotations, because I never know what I'm going to be in the mood for. I'm a mood stitcher, so that probably best describes me. I pick up what I fancy, rather than kind of think, right, I've got to put this one down and move on to the next one. That just wouldn't suit me, because I would just then think, oh no, I don't want to stitch if I'm not in the mood. So yeah, I just stitch whatever I want. But this one has stayed in the, it's being worked on quite a bit this year, so I'm sure I'll probably want to work on it again at some point. So just popping things away as I go, as I said, because the house is already a bit of a mess, so I don't want to create even more chaos doing this. So another exciting bit I've done is I also purchased my second So Much to Love bag. I love these bags. They're so lovely, and this one's in the sale. So I've been stung before by import taxes buying from America, so I'm very cautious at what I buy and how much I spend. And what I found is if I can keep the spend, as in the price of the product, under £20, then I haven't been charged import tax for it. But if it's over £20, which would be the normal price for one of these bags, I think I would run the risk of actually being charged tax on it. So this is one of the ones that was in her sale. In fact, I think it's still on the site for sale as well. So this is my second So Much to Love bag, and I love it. It's so well made, it's beautiful, and having tried to make a couple of these myself, I can really appreciate the craftsmanship that goes into putting these together. So the next one, the one that this is storing, is my Sunflower Fairy by Nora Corbett. This I bought as a instant download from Hirschner's. I haven't done a great deal of work on her because I've kind of fallen out a little bit of love with her, and it's mainly because of the skin. So this is my first Nora Corbett, and the first of many fairies that I have in my collection, and I wanted to do the skin 1/1, but I really struggled with this, and I didn't really know how to do it, and I'm not particularly pleased with how it's come out. So I don't think you can see it. I mean, from where I'm sat, I can't see it, but I have actually done her face, and her upper torso is also stitched. And I think it might just be that the skin tone that I've used is very close to the fabric colour, so it just blends in completely. So when I did upper torso and face first, and then I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll do her legs, and I outlined it in the darker of the kind of colours that was in the cotton that was recommended for skin tone, and I think that looks really weird. I don't think I kind of like the effect that it's given, and I don't really know what to do about that. But I do know that unpicking it is probably not an option, because I think that would be a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, so I was thinking this would be a finish. I'll have this done. I really wanted to get it all sorted. I wanted to get onto the beading, but I'll just see if I can give you a close-up here. That's her legs. Her legs, the actual stitching on her legs I don't think is so bad, and there is a little bit more of a contrast, but it's really, I think it's because it's so pale, the skin on her upper body. I think you can just about see the outline there. So I put the outline in of her face, and then kind of just, rather than count stitches, I just filled in the space around it. But it's really difficult to see, and I got to kind of just working on her arm here, and I think that's just where I gave up, because it just was too difficult. Yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do about her. I might just kind of pick it up at one point and just get it finished, and just have to accept that it's not perfect. But which is odd, because many of the things that I do are not perfect and usually are fudged. But I think because I love this pattern so much, I had high hopes for it, and it's just a little bit disappointing that I haven't been able to quite crack that one. So we shall see. So at the moment she's sitting in her new So Much to Love bag, because I do kind of love her, but she's also experiencing a little bit of neglect at the moment. So we shall see what happens to her. So speaking of trying to make some of these bags, because I thought, oh, you know, I do a bit of quilting. I'm not saying I'm the best at sewing or anything like that. You'll hear a little bit of rustling because I'm just looking at this massive pile of stuff I've got next to me. I've got some lovely fabrics in my collection, so I thought, I know, I'm going to try and make one of these bags myself. So here you go. This is the fabric I chose. It's got the little trim on it. It's got a nice contrasting fabric in between. Really very pretty. The bit that was my undoing was trying to put a zip in, and as you can see, look at that. I cannot sew a zip in to save my life. And whilst it matches at one end, just ignore that, that's where I've just been trying to unpick it, I kind of ended up with that at the other. So yeah, I decided that maybe I wasn't going to be able to do that. And then of course, while I was trying to sort all that out, Vona came out with her tutorial. So Vona Pfeiffer, sorry, again having blank on all the names. Calico Stitches, that's the video I mentioned earlier. See, I knew it would come back to me. It's one of those things, you stop thinking about it and it pops in. So I have made, or I'm in the process of making a project bag using Vona's tutorial. It's not complete at the moment because I kind of got on a bit of a wobble going up the side seam on this side, but I've just done a bright fabric, that's the back of it, and this has just got a contrasting blue inside. So all that's left for me to do, I just need to unpick this bit and start it again, because I just kind of was going off at my side seam was getting wider and wider, but it was quite late last night and I thought it was probably not a good idea to be trying to stitch a straight line quite late at night. And I did have a few troubles with this one as well, so I don't quite have a very good that's really poor English. My corners aren't as neat as they could be, but I think once it's done it will be fine and it will work quite nicely, and I love this fabric. So that was the first one I did, and I thought, well, whilst I got everything out and I'm cutting, I'm actually going to do two at the same time. So this is the second one, and again this one isn't stitched up, so at the moment it's just kind of a long bit of two bits of fabric sewn together, but I really love this material to make one. So hopefully I've just got to, I was stitching this one and my bobbin ran out, so I was just putting along my finishing, tucking in the two raw edges when my bobbin ran out, so I thought that's just a sign that I should stop stitching for the night. So hopefully next time you come back I will have two completed project bags, thanks to Fauna and her taking the time to share her tutorial with us. Very generous with, people are very generous with their time and what they offer to us, and I think this is a great community to be a part of, and everybody's so happy to share things. It's great. I just wish I was a little bit more talented and could actually do things. I have great ambitions, but not actually the ability to do these things, which I think is why I like cross stitch, because actual cross stitching is actually, at the end of the day, easy, really, isn't it? It's all the other stuff like the choosing the materials and embellishments, etc. That's what adds the level of complexity, I think, to stitching. So one thing you might have noticed, actually I'm going to pause the video here and then I might do finish off with the final bit, so I shall be back in a tick. Okay, I just had a quick break there. I've actually just eaten my dinner, which was very nice. Thank you for being patient. I know this is going to be seamless for you and it will feel like I've not been away. I just wanted to finish off by showing a few of the purchases I've made in June and July. You might have noticed by watching my updates this year, I've made I started off at the beginning of the year thinking that I wanted to really see some progress on the projects that I had, because I think when I did my count I had something like 25 or 26 whips, but I've got loads and loads of patterns and a few kits that I would really like to do and to get started. So I've got this great stash of stuff that is kind of sitting there patiently waiting for me, but I didn't feel that I didn't want to start them before I'd had a few finishes, and part of that is, I think, driven by how I store things, in that I don't have a great deal of space to keep my stash, and organisation is always I'm a pretty organised person, but I'm limited by the space that I have around me, basically. And I already find it difficult sometimes to try and keep everything together, and I think that's why I end up misplacing things, or where threads kind of go missing and patterns, etc., because it's so easy because I have to put everything away at the end of the day. It's not kind of left out in a craft room or anything. So I just don't think it would be great for me to have loads more of these things started. And despite the fact that I want to, and I've had to resist very hard at times to stop myself from starting anything new, I've actually made it all the way now to August with the only start and finish I've had that I can think of. Correct me if I'm wrong, is that Mill Hill Santa kit, which is a present for someone. So I've kind of just thought to myself, actually, as the challenge for this year, I'm not going to do any of these starts that I would like to. I am going to wait until next year and just challenge myself to see how much progress I can make on all of the things I've currently got going. And if I can finish things, that's great, but even if I can get them closer to the point where they're finishing and I'm in a bit more control of where they are. So for example, if a lot of my patterns are just at the point where they need back stitching, that's fine, because it reduces the bulk of what I need to keep with that pattern, because all the other threads I can kind of put back and recycle. I just need the chart and black basically, and I keep all of my black for back stitching, and well, just all of my black for anything is all kept together in one bag, so that makes it much easier. The exceptions to that are going to be, in terms of new starts, is for doing the Mill Hill Santa for my dad for Christmas, and also I am going to the Milton Keynes retreat in October, which I'm very excited about. It still feels a long way off at the moment yet, so you know, I'm trying not to get overexcited a bit, but I have joined in the gift exchange that's going on. So the challenge there, I think, certainly Bonnie is involved in organising this, and I just watched her update yesterday, and I did really well, and I didn't look at what she was stitching, and then at the end she referred to it, so I now know what she's stitching, but never mind. So here I will say, I will just briefly show an idea of what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to say which one because I haven't started it, but I have chosen to do, yes, so if you're watching anyone going, you're going to have to look away, sorry, just go, or maybe, I'll tell you what, I'll do everything else first and then I'll do this as the very last thing, so I can tell you and you can just stop the video. Maybe that will work better. Anyway, so I did some charity shop shopping. So the first thing that you're looking at here is a kit that I picked up, and it's called Summer, and it is by I don't know if it's actually got who made it. Let's have a look. Let's give you that back to look at. Does it say who made it? No, it says it's not a toy. I don't know. Doesn't seem to have. Doesn't have a name on it. Maybe it's got it on the pattern. And nothing on the pattern. No, it actually comes with everything that you need, as it is a kit. So I know about the quality of some of these threads. So I was having a look at them the other day. So these look like DMC threads, and I know 743 is and 3840 is actually a DMC number, but I don't know if they are DMC threads, and I'd be quite, I don't know, it comes on, the rest of them are on a card, and they feel very nice actually, they feel very soft, so maybe they are. But really nice bright colours. It's probably not something I would normally choose, and I don't actually have any plans to stitch it, but it was in a charity shop and it was only £2.50, and it was one of those things, I find it very difficult to walk away from a pattern when I see one in a charity shop, and it's, you know, who knows, maybe my taste seems to change over the years all the time, so you'll never know. I'm never going to say never. It comes with an 11 count Aja, and I just think maybe if I do ever stitch it, that's probably what will get changed or swapped out. So that's the first thing I bought in a charity shop. This one wasn't from a charity shop. This is a Tia Governor cross stitch kit. This is the only Tia Governor I've got. I've never had one before, and they usually are quite expensive. But there was, as you can see, there was a sale. So this was marked as half price down to £13, and it's one in a series of butterflies. They did have where does it go? I don't know if I have to move you a bit closer. It did have the I think it had this one as well in the collection there, but I just kind of picked my favourite, and I really do quite like the colours in this one. These oranges and the greens were my favourite, and it was really great because when I got to the till they had an extra, was it an extra 25% off or an extra 50% off? Whatever it was ridiculously cheap for the price it was, which made me, because when I paid for it, it was even cheaper than I thought it was going to be. So I went back and I had to look at the other one to think, well, maybe would I get it if I knew it was that price? But no, I decided just to stick with this one. It's really pretty. Again, I've got no plans for when I'm going to stitch it, but that's a nice one to have in my stash. And the other pattern that I picked up in the same place was this Mirabilia. It's the package is a little bit damaged, as you can see, but this was originally priced at £10.40 and was reduced to £2.95, and I think I paid £2, if that, for it, because it was even further reduced. Yeah, so this is Archangel by Nora Corbett. I don't know, I kind of couldn't resist at that price, you know, couldn't walk past it. And Mirabilis, they're one of those things that always look better stitched than they do in the picture, because I look at this and I think I don't actually really like the fabric that it's on, but I do love the colours. That blue and that yellow contrast is beautiful. So who knows, I think whether I decide to keep it or I might enter a giveaway at some point, you never know. Then non-cross stitch related, I also I went to a couple of other charity shops and I picked up some crewel work. So this is the first one. This is called Red Saxifrage. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That probably is definitely not how you pronounce it. This it's not English by the looks of it. It's, I'm going to say that's German, isn't it? But that's the brand. So there was this one, and there was also this one, Alpine Flax, which was my favourite. But I, again, find it very difficult to pick up one and not the other. But they all come with this the canvas in it, with the pattern printed on it, and then it has all of the wool inside as well to stitch. So I thought that would be something quite nice to kind of keep hold of. If I ever kind of got fed up with doing a little bit of cross stitch, I could dig one of those out. But having found then, I then hit what I considered the jackpot, because I found this, a Jacobean piece of crewel work, and if I pull back, how gorgeous is that? Absolutely beautiful. Now the previous owner obviously has started it because they've done some of the stitching here, but I just thought this was beautiful. I absolutely love the colours that are in this. And I've looked at these kind of patterns before and these kits, and they're really quite expensive. So I managed to get this and all of the wool. That comes out. I've got this massive bag of wool here. I'm not going to get it all out. But this is Appleton wool as well, which is at the pricier end of wool that you can use for doing these kind of tapestries. So a really good bargain price there I got. I think, was it £7 or something like that, which is, you know, you might think, well, that sounds a lot for a kind of a charity shop second-hand thing, but actually the quality of this is really good. The charity that I was supporting was Sobel House Hospice, so I get to make a purchase and I get to feel good about myself as well, because, you know, donating money to charity. So yeah, thank you to whoever donated that, and I will look forward to doing that at some point. So this is a poet. I'm just going to show the Scornu patterns that I bought. So if you're going to the MK retreat, I shall say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching, and for the rest of you, when I knew I was going, the choice was to stitch a Scornu, a needle holder, sewing case, or there was a third option as well. But I thought this is kind of the excuse I suppose I needed to actually stitch a Biscornu, because I've not done one before. So I went looking around, because, you know, didn't have any patterns in myself. Oh, I've got one pattern that I bought for myself from Clouds Factory. That's who. Yeah, I've got a Clouds Factory one. I think it's the Cinderella one to stitch for myself, but I thought, I'm going to go and have a look at what's out there, and wouldn't you know it, So&So was having a sale on all of these patterns by Soda Stitch for Biscornu, so I couldn't resist. It was a bit like, ooh, which was my favourite, and I couldn't decide, so I bought them all, because really that's me all over. So there's this beautiful one called the Butterfly, and I haven't decided yet which one I'm going to stitch, so even if you are watching, you'll know if it's any one of these, but you won't know which one I'm going to do. But I think that's beautiful. I love the blues in that one. But then I also really like the poppy. Isn't that beautiful? And again, Soda Stitch are really great, because what I've noticed with all of their patterns that I've got and that other people have shown, they don't just show you how to use the picture for the original pattern, they also always give you these other options and ways of finishing things. So I think Soda Stitch, as a company, they do a really good job of helping you look at different ways of stitching their product and what you can do with it. So big up to them, really. This one I absolutely love. I think this one will definitely be sometimes stitched for myself. This is the Sunflower Field, the pattern's called. The other one was Poppy Fields. This is a Blue-Eye Cat and the Skein. So I think, yeah, you can see it down here. A bit clearer, the cat's playing with, looks like a ball of yarn. But that's really cute, and I thought, I know people are cat lovers, so, I make that sound like I'm not a cat lover. I do like cats, but I wouldn't describe myself as a cat lover. But I know lots of people out there who do have cats, and I thought, well, maybe that would be a good one to stitch. But you don't know who you're stitching for, so that is quite difficult to decide. This one is a DIY Biscornu 7, and it's Pots of Jam, which I thought was quite cute. This one is definitely one I would like, and maybe this one will be the one that gets stitched. This is called Biscornu 8, and this is bottles and glasses of wines with some grapes, and I think that's really pretty. I like that one. But the retreat is actually Halloween. It's around that time, so I thought maybe this one would be appropriate, because this is called A Little Witch, so Biscornu 14. So all of their Biscornus seem to be numbered. But that was really cute with the witch on a broomstick and then the cat on the broomstick as well. So those are the Biscornus that I bought. I haven't, as I said, I haven't really decided which one I'm going to make, but it's at the end of October, so I probably need to start thinking about it fairly soon, because I've no idea how long it's going to take me. So maybe while it's I think maybe it's going to have to be the Halloween one, because it's Halloween time, isn't it? That would seem appropriate. So I might have a look and see if I've got the materials list that I need for that one and get going on it. But I won't be able to show progress on this on here. What I might do is just film a little video of it and then keep it and cut it into the update I film after I've been on the retreat. So yeah, that's it for me. I have got lots of other patterns that I've been buying on eBay and here and there and everywhere, but I think that's probably going to be long enough, because I think by the time I've stuck the 3 different pieces of video together, it's probably going to be coming up to an hour. But I guess that is 2 months together. Do you know what? Before I did this, I thought, well, I haven't really got anything to show. It'll probably take about 10 minutes, which is why I put my dinner in the oven, because I thought I'd be able to film it and tidy it up and then sit down and have my dinner. But no. Once you get me talking, you can't shut me up. Well, you can, obviously, because you can just press stop. Wouldn't it be great? I'm just going to stop there because my video just cut me off. So it has put me on pause in real life. What great timing was that? So I shall say goodbye, and I shall see you next month.